Here I am standing in a field of, I don't know, at least 3 toxic plants. One being the beautiful Aconite, likely columbianum, which is everywhere. There's also the veratrum, likely veratrum album, and just if having to take things orally to really get a great toxic effect is asking too much. There's this Paracrium or cow parsnips, which I believe has some type of like phototoxic terpene, probably, that you get it on your skin, and then the sun falls on it, and or the photons from the sun fall on it and burn a hole in your skin. I had this happen before. Not pleasant. So between the Aconite, the veratrum, and the cow parsnips, I should probably get the out of here before I get some kind of shitty toxic reaction to all these beautiful plants that are saying, hey, just let us live, get the out of our home. Well, here's something interesting. I was walking along admiring all the Aconite, and then suddenly I was like, oh my god, look at that. The stem is so large, and this population looks so much healthier, and because the stem was so much thicker in diameter. I look closer and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's Aconite, I think that's Delphinium. Same family, Ranunculaceae, different genus. Very similar flowers, most similar leaves. And then I walked a little further down the trail and I ran into this spot where we have the Delphinium growing, of course, with the cow parsnips, just to make things interesting. But here's the Delphinium, and you see that little tongue hanging out from the, I guess, apical petal in the corolla. And this, to me, would be one of the ways to differentiate the Delphinium from the Aconite. When you look at the leaves, it's a little bit more difficult. Here we have the Aconite. And if we look closely, there's the tongue there's no, the apical petal, or whatever we want to call that structure, or whatever it would be called, more accurately, is not here. It's actually, well, whatever. This is the Aconitum, columbianum. This is the Delphinium, with a species I don't know at the moment. Here's the cow parsnips in the Apiaceae family, carrot family. Looks a bit like a lot of other carrots we're familiar with, like Queen Anne's lace, or even the different angelicas. And then again, there's the veratrum album, which has some common name which eludes me. And you know, again, toxic plant paradise. Thank you, nature. Thank you, Sierra Nevadas. Thank you, wilderness. Earlier I was going on about the difficulty of differentiating Delphinium and Aconite, and saying using the leaves, it wasn't easy, and blah blah blah. And well, you know, after looking, you can see the petiole, the stem that attaches the leaf to the actual stem on the Delphinium, is quite long, you know, more than 5 centimeters. And if we look at the Aconite, you can see that the petiole is very short. It's almost hard to see, but it's actually, you know, like a centimeter long at best. If we actually compare the leaves themselves on top of one another, they're both, I think the word is glabrous. They have no hairs on either side, the abaxial or the adaxial. They both look the same. Petiole length is different. Even the way the Delphinium starts flowering out of this thing that defies my botanical vocabulary. I'm gonna just move on because I'm getting eaten alive. But we can see it's a little different on the aconite. You know, and I mean, I'm standing in an aconite forest that's mixed with Delphinium and mosquitoes and veratrum. And it's beautiful and agonizing at the same time. Like all good things. So when we're here comparing the flowers side by side, we can see some similarity. They're in the same family, different genuses. Delphinium is here and has that hairy upper lip in its corolla. Aconite is more reminiscent of the hood, hence the name monk's hood. The leaves, we differentiate them primarily by length of petiole. In the aconite, it's very short, at least higher up on the stem. You can see they're quite long, lower down, whereas in the Delphinium, they're quite long, high up on the stem and down low. The interesting thing is, you know, aconite is known for the aconite alkaloids, which exert most of the medicinal effect, or at least most of the recognized medicinal effect. Here we see a tiny tuber, smaller than my thumb by, 80%. On the Delphinium, we have a taproot, which is not small. Unfortunately, I chopped off the end. The case with the Chinese Aconitum carmichaelii, which produces a gigantic tuber, which is the tuber on the Aconitum carmichaelii is, 25 times this size, and a size much more reminiscent of what is present here on this Delphinium. So I would wonder if, if we're trying to find native species to use as substitutes for Chinese medicinals, and we're looking at something, we're trying to find a replacement for aconite, would it be Delphinium? Or, well, because Delphinium doesn't have an attached tuber, it doesn't really make sense to call it futsa. But could that thing be the raven's head? Uto. I don't know. Probably have to do some type of analytical chemistry to compare levels of aconite alkaloid in these two plants. Or just decoct them and take them and see how that makes you feel, but that's can be sketchy. Welcome to the aconite forest here in the Sierra Nevadas. Aconitum columbianum, member of the Ranunculaceae family. Growing here in this riparian environment along with Heracreum, cow parsnips, and the false hellebore, Veratrum album, and a few other lovely plants. But the aconite is what's most interesting. I've never actually seen it in the wild, so to find it in a location like this where it's so prevalent is wonderful. Analysis of the root. In Chinese medicine, we use the radix and the attached tuber. The radix is Tuan Wu, or Wu To, actually. The raven's head, and the attached tuber is known as futsa, the attached child. This plant here, the Aconitum columbianum, growing in this location, has the absolutely microscopic attached tuber and also a fairly tiny radix. But my God, is it beautiful? Is this beautiful? You know, it's tiny. Maybe if you collected 100 of these, you could have enough material to make a decoction. And after long boiling, you could use it to restore your young, dispel cold, stop pain. And some would say that Aconite is the king of the 100 medicinals, pretty much meaning it's the best. Is that true? Just like anything, we have to navigate through our various filters and biases and come to a conclusion about what is truth in the larger picture. Generally speaking, it's actually somewhere up there.